Hello and welcome to Our Time. Are you all right? Have you got a stiff neck?
No. People don't realise we don't remember anything. It's written up for us on the screen.
Don't tell them that.
Oh, okay.
We remember everything.
Of course we do. Do you know that Mark Day and Dawn Garrett are on this episode of Our Time?
We're talking to Peter.
And they are talking, and they're from Mercer Supercycle, and I read that straight off the screen.
It's cheating.
It is, isn't it?
But we also have Bryce.
And
Bryce Routley is joining us.
And Bryce is really an interesting man because he's from the South Australian Men's Shed Association. We'd also, before we introduce him, don't get carried away, because we're also welcoming a new sponsor to our program, because none of this happens by accident. Hello World is our new sponsor, so hello World.
Hello World.
Nice to have you with us. And it's nice to have you with us.
Bryce, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, Bryce, Men's Shed isn't really just a shed, is it?
No.
It's not a shed that men erected somewhere out in the Nullarbor.
No.
Can you explain to us then, please?
Men's sheds are generally spots where men can come and congregate together in a community sense. So it's getting them out of their own shed and coming into a community shed.
Right.
Ask the burning question on your lips.
What?
Well, why do men need a shed?
No, every man needs a shed, doesn't he? Isn't
Yeah,
that
they do.
That's what I've heard.
Yes. Yes.
But this is not what that sort of shed. I mean, obviously, this is a community thing where men can just come and just discuss if they have a problem, or just to general talk about whatever.
Just to be men.
Just to be men and get together and become resume a conversation that they perhaps have lost. When they've retired.
Yeah, but this is a very valid point. Well, a couple of things. First of all, it's not necessarily baby boomer aged men.
No.
Because younger men can join it too.
Yes.
But probably more particularly, why do men need a shed? To really analyse your question, do they need a shed because we came up in a certain period of time where perhaps men were just expected to be silent and get on with the job, do you think?
It's mostly for retired men, but there are younger men coming along and to actually learn skills from the older men. Mm-hmm. But the majority of men have retired, and we all identify ourselves by what we do. You meet someone for the first time and say, "Oh, what do you do?" And, "Oh, I'm an engineer, or I'm a farmer," or whatever. Yeah. And when you retire, you go, "Well, I was a farmer, or I was an engineer. I'm now past
retired what?"
Yeah, yes. And I'm past my use by date, and you lose purpose, and you lose the social connection with the people that you have around the morning tea table, and become socially isolated.
So I'm just gathering from that then, if people do have a skill and they have retired, then in that group, if somebody needs the use of that skill, then they can pass it on, or then it's like, well, come and help me do this. Yes. So is that what the point of it all?
Yes, and we've got, quite often wood-orientated sheds, and so someone might have a skill in wood turning. Yeah. So you can come along saying, "Look, can I learn how to do wood turning? Because I'd always love to do it, and so I've got the time to do it," and they can actually learn a skill. But all the sheds are all very, very different. There's one in South Australia, in Edinburgh Park, that's actually a blacksmithing shed, and they've actually run 6 days a week, and there's actually even a class for women.
Got a girls, yes.
Is that right?
And you can do a cert 4 in blacksmithing as well. It's really weird.
Would they be a girls slightly blacksmith? Would they be slightly, because they wouldn't be black, would they, the girls? They wouldn't get black. Like, blacksmiths are called blacksmiths because they get black.
Yeah, but surely they would too, wouldn't they?
Be a bit dainty?
Well, they'd probably wear a mask and an apron more so than the man would, wouldn't they? Cover themselves up a bit more.
Yes. And
He's having a go.
And using modern gas-fired furnaces and things like that.
Than they used to. Does it? Sorry, Malcolm. Can I interrupt?
No, please do.
Does it cost anything? Stop it. Does it cost anything, Bryce?
Generally, you have a small fee each session to pay for tea, coffee and biscuit. Because the morning tea break's the most important time of the day, when they all sit down and have a chat and talk about the football and the weather and things that are on their minds, and you have a little bit of a chinwag and say how great they used to be.
How many of these sheds are there in South Australia, and also are there sheds nationally?
They're everywhere.
Yes. Nationally, in 2007 there was 150, and some of the first sheds started here in South Australia back in the mid-90s.
Right.
There's nearly 1,000 sheds now across Australia, and now the concept's gone overseas, and through Ireland, where they've got 25% unemployment rate, they have a lot younger men going into the sheds, and they've got about 400 in Ireland alone, and all across Europe. And all across the world, they're actually following the Australian shed movement.
Wow, that's great.
Well, Bryce, I was a hills boy in the Adelaide Hills,
Yes.
and so my father would have had to chop down a tree to build a shed, or obviously for firewood or whatever. He would have changed the oil in his car. He would have done all those little jobs that his father would have passed on to him. Because I wasn't that interested in any of those things, he did pass stuff on to me, which I find now I use a great deal. But in today's society, men don't get the opportunity as much to pass on their skill set to their families, to their sons.
Yes.
And so in a way we're sort of losing that peer group that used to hand down information.
Yes.
And this is a good way to help it, isn't it?
Yes. Quite often sheds are involved with making wooden toys for kindies and kindy furniture, and sort of the want-to-be grandfathers that perhaps don't have grandchildren.
Yep.
And in some cases we actually have sessions where the kids can come along, and so the kids can have like a pseudo-grandfather there helping them.
Oh, really?
So there's actually lots of mentoring.
Because,
happening.
well,
That's
that's one
fantastic.
of the frightening things that's happened in our society, particularly for men,
Yes.
because of the concern. I mean, we've just recently had Rachel Sanderson on the program talking about the portfolio she has to look after, and with the child abuse situation that happens. And it's very hard now for men to feel like they're still useful, particularly with children.
Yes.
And the checks and balances in place to make that secure is very important to have. But it's made those of us that aren't interested in that, but would like to have some sort of involvement with kids as a grandparent or whatever, and it doesn't happen. So
Yes.
just getting back to the funding for this though, so the government, the federal government funds the men's sheds, or state government?
Mainly the federal government through our health initiatives, and those well recognised and well researched that men's shed help men with particularly mental health, depression type things. But we also have an active Banner in the Works program which tell guys about getting off to the doctor, about having their blood pressure test, their sugar level tested,
prostate exam,
all those different
yes,
things.
yep.
Guys don't like going to the doctors, but we can raise those issues in a very informal way, and we take the opportunity to do that.
Fantastic.
But I can understand if you've been working with a group of people all your life, particularly, well, in any form of employment, where you've had dealings with other men and women, of course, but where you've had dealings with other men to talk about the sport or your car or whatever you're interested in, and then suddenly that's cut off. You really don't have anywhere to go, do you?
No.
So it's a great incentive.
Yes.
So out of these things, is everything for charity, or are there little jobs being done to help the community generally?
It depends totally on the shed and who sets it up and where it's set up. The country sheds are very different from city sheds, and sometimes they're set up by Lions clubs, Rotary clubs, by churches, by community centres, by councils. And so depending on those auspicing bodies, but a lot of them are independent. They are just a bunch of guys that have got separately incorporated, and they run their own ship, and they do what they want to do.
So how do we find out if we're a male in our age group? How do we find out where the local men's shed is?
Okay, if you just Google Australian Men's Shed Association, and on their website there's a shed locator. So basically type in your postcode and it'll come up with all the sheds.
That are close by.
And there's a shed load of sheds.
Yeah, that's right. Heaps of them.
Thank you so much for coming and talking
Yeah,
about it.
thank you, Bryce. That
Because
was
that's
very
a very,
interesting.
very valid thing,
Yeah,
and very
no,
valuable
it's
for
wonderful.
people in my age group. And we'll be back very shortly with our friend Peter, with Mark and Dawn, and talking about Mercer's Supercycle.
And joining us next on Our Time, a couple of people with some very, very interesting stories about cycling. Mercer Supercycle is the name of the organisation. Dawn Garrett and Mark Day join me. Hello, how are you?
Very well, very well.
Supercycle.
Yes.
What's it all about?
It's a charity bike ride.
Yep.
In fact, I think we could call it a 5-star charity bike ride.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And we travel through regional South Australia, and we raise money to build family homes for regional South Australians travelling to the QEH, for example, for cancer treatment.
Okay, now there's lots of competing bike rides and what have you. What makes yours different, Mark?
Look, it's not a mass participation event. It's we have pelotons with a maximum of 20 riders in each peloton. We have at least 2, often 3 marshals in each peloton that are wired up between the cars, support cars in front, support cars behind. So whereas you've got lots of mass participation rides, this is very high touch. We, as Dawn said, it's 5-star. It touches the community that we go through, and it is very much an experience.
So it's not a grueling thing like some of the obviously some of the other rides we've had with en masse. There's hundreds of people do it, and it's quite tired.
Well, it is grueling in one respect because the maximum distance is 1,000 k's in a week. So you're doing 150 k's a day on average. So it's a reasonable time in the saddle if you do the full event. There are different options. You can ride 50 kilometres a day or 100 kilometres a day, and choose to do 2 to 7 days. So you can choose your distance and your number of days. But
now you've been going since what,
2012, first ride.
And word of mouth, is this the main how people get to know about it? You said you have some international riders as well?
Yeah, look, it is. Last year we had a couple of riders from Singapore, 1 rider from the UK. At least 50% of the riders come from interstate, big contingent from Melbourne and Sydney. So yeah, look, any event like this is about what people feel after the ride and how they feel about doing it. And so word of mouth is definitely our big
and corporates.
push.
A lot of corporates put in teams.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, we have great corporate support. So I might give us 4 riders and get their whole company behind that team to help them raise the money.
So do you have what's the financially? Obviously, you raise money. How successful has that been in the history of the?
Look, it's been pretty successful. After this ride, we should top $2 million in terms of fundraising. So typically, we're raising between $400,000 and $500,000 per ride, and this year our target is $600,000.
And we've built 2 homes.
I was going to say to you, often in the past, people who come down for cancer treatment, their families need to be with them, and some of the accommodation is less than fantastic. So what are you aiming to do? What are you building? Is it like a resort style thing, or is it something that can be comfortable?
It's a family home.
It is. It is a home, but it's more than just being comfortable. If you're going through the process of chemotherapy, the homes are designed to really allow the whole family to come down whilst the person is getting treatment. There's walking distance to a school, there's walking distance to shops, and there's walking distance to the QEH, where the first 2 homes are.
So where are those homes located?
Woodville West.
Woodville West, yeah. So, I mean, it's not something people come down for a week or 2. They're there for some time, aren't they, while this treatment goes on. What's the feedback from families? Have you had any?
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, it makes a world of difference to them. And we've had some lovely feedback, particularly not just from the patient, but also the carers for the patient. That's really hard, you know, if someone's daughter's in hospital, for the mother to come down and spend time, I think the carers really appreciate being with the patient.
So what's the plan for the future? Obviously, this is an ongoing thing. It started, as you say, a few years ago now. It's a once a year. It's an annual thing.
It's an annual thing. We thought at one stage we might pull the pin on it because it's an incredible amount of logistical work and organisation. I
was going to say you have to liaise with councils and the police
and
or whatever the roads.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you know, just we've got last year we had 70 riders for the first 2 days. then another 30 support crew involved, and cars and radios and food and everything else. But we realised as a board, gee, we're making all this money for a fantastic cause. So once the ball has been rolling, we're going to be going for as long as we can to make it bigger and better.
There is no end to this, obviously. So you don't have a finite number of homes.
No, next year's planned, and we're looking for the year after.
So we've obviously seen Tour Down Under and some of these other charity events that have hundreds of riders, and they go Wollonga Hill.
Oh yes, we do that.
Where's the route that you normally ride?
Well, it does change every year.
Yeah.
This year we start off from Adelaide and go through the Adelaide Hills to Warrinna.
Including Wollonga Hill.
Okay.
Just to throw that in.
Going down's good for me. Going up.
Oh no, it's a beautiful view.
Oh, it's a lovely area.
Says Dawn, who hasn't actually done the ride yet.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
So Warrinna, and then Murray Bridge, Tanunda, Burra, down to Wallaroo, Clare, and then the last day is Clare back to Adelaide.
A few winery districts in there. Do you notice that?
You're not stopping to have a drink. I won't let you. You're actually going to ride, apparently.
Oh.
Come on, your secret's out now.
Oh, the secret's out. I'm very nervous. I've always been a support crew, but I'm the only committee member that hasn't ridden, so I'm actually going to ride it, because I've just every year seen the cyclists have a fantastic experience, and also see them at the beginning of the ride very nervous. So the other thing, Mark, I think that makes it different is the riders just don't turn up on the day and say, I'm going to ride. We train them for 6 months before. Yeah. So you get an awful lot of support. So I'll be expected to turn up at some ungodly hour.
Absolutely.
Yes, can't wait. And so we're trained on cycling, how to ride in a peloton, because safety is very important. So all the riders have to know what they're doing. So a lovely camaraderie builds up, and so I want to be a part of that. I'm going to try what it's going to be like being on that bike.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah. And obviously you go at your own pace. It's not a race at all.
It's not a race, but we don't go
at our own pace. So the peloton, as I said before, is 20 riders, and those riders are expected to keep up to the pace of the peloton.
Oh, okay.
So at any one time, we'll have a team of 4 on the front that are leading the peloton.
So it's serious stuff.
Oh, it is.
Well,
safety.
You've got to get from A to B.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at the last day, it's 180 kilometres. We've got to keep a reasonable pace going to get here in the light.
And we have to be safe. So we have a car in front, have a car behind.
Yes.
So the support crew, we would need everyone back there in one piece.
Sure.
So the best way of doing that is, Mark, to be in a peloton with the support car, big flashing lights, we're in radio contact, watching the traffic. So they have to ride at the same speed.
So it's very professional.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is. We the whole of the board has got a corporate background in risk management, and so the last thing we want is anyone getting hurt on the ride. And touch wood, it hasn't happened to date. So we need to just make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. They are trained. They're fit enough. They've actually got to be accredited at the end of the day to be fit enough and know the rules of riding in a peloton before they ride.
Yes, we've all heard Phil Liggett, of course, is magnificent. You're going to have someone who's going to be recording the event for publicity, perhaps?
Yeah, look, we have, every year we have people doing filming, some terrific drone footage last year.
Oh, right, of
Yes,
course.
we've got some lovely footage of that.
So I'm getting on in years now. Would I be suitable? What are the ages?
I actually think, Peter, you're probably a bit young.
A bit young. So what are the ages then?
Well, we've had father and sons do it, but I'd say around the 40s, 50s.
Well,
we
I
have
think
such a
probably
range of people.
It's a big range.
It's a big
the
range.
youngest would be mid 20s to the oldest being late 60s.
Yeah.
Gee,
Yeah.
okay. It's almost me.
And gender, yeah. And we're not looking at elite riders. We're looking at people who do some cycling, want a challenge. We've had some people that have bought a bike for the event.
Well,
and we train them.
Last year we had a couple of the girls participating that had never ridden before, so they bought their bikes just before the training season started in September, and they both did the full 1,000 Ks, and it was just a thrill to see them get better and better every week.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And learn what it's all about and understand how to be good to each other in a cycling event and other road users, and really just love the event.
So obviously something sparked this whole thing to begin with, because you see where people were going and it really wasn't up to stuff, and this was the inspiration for this whole thing, yeah?
Well, look, the inspiration was I was at a conference in Melbourne with two colleagues, and one of the speakers was actually talking about a very similar ride that they've got over there, and they raise an enormous amount of money with these rides, and we came out of that conference and looked at each other and said, gee, nothing like that's happening in South Australia. Why don't we see if we can engage in corporates, specifically the superannuation industry, we're all in that industry at that stage, and see if we can make some big money. So the first year we had only 10 riders, but we raised about $180,000 between us. And so that just started the ball rolling to say, let's see where this goes.
Were you surprised at the interest from corporates, Dawn?
No, I think it fits very well with corporate social responsibility. Most corporates have got a corporate social responsibility program, so it caters for that. It's also a big employee benefit, because if you get a team, I know at our work, in our weekly newsletter, every time there is something about what the team, because a serious fundraising commitment by the cyclists. Each cyclist has to raise at least $5,000.
Okay.
So it's a big commitment. So it gets a corporate behind their team to talk about what they're doing and the sausage sizzles and all those, and also a bit of marketing. There's a lot of networking goes on.
Is there a website, quickly, before we leave you?
Yes.
There is. It's supercycle.org.au.
Fantastic. Mark, Dawn, fabulous. All the best with it. Lovely to meet you.
Yes, you too. Hopefully we'll see you ride one day, Peter.
I may give it a shot. Thank you.
Fantastic. It's not till April, so plenty of time.
Well, just before we go, one more item.
The Hospital Research Foundation is our partners in this exercise, and they're the people who pull together the actual building of the houses.
Fantastic. Thanks, folks. Coming up after the break, one of our new sponsors, Hello World, here at OurTime. Time now on Our Time to introduce a couple of very special people. It's Alicia and Steve Morris. They're from Hello World at West Lakes Travel Agency. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yourself? Hi, how are you?
Good.
Now, you guys have been in the business a long, long time. What makes you so different? What makes you special?
Well, basically, we're like a one-stop shop for everything as well. So basically, our consultants with us, they will actually cover you from your start until you come home. So you can deal with the one person, where some other people or other agencies where you might go there and speak to multiple different times and as your booking process through. So
Steve, obviously it's a bit more family orientated, it's a bit more intimate, the process at your business, yeah?
Yes, very family orientated. We've got good staff that will look after anyone that comes in.
So what about fair deals, things like that? Are you guys still able to, obviously pick the best of the fares for whatever people want to do, wherever they want to go?
Exactly. And so instead of giving, like, say, 20 different options, what we'll do, we actually try and qualify them to say like what they want and what is most suitable for them, and then we get the best, obviously, what's the best options for them, and then they can choose which one they suits them best.
And where are you located? Where's your office?
We're at West Lakes Mall.
In the mall,
In the mall, yeah.
In West Lakes.
Okay, so the trend these days, are you seeing more families coming in, or is it more singles travelling? Who are coming to see you?
Yeah, it's a bit, so getting more families as well. But again, we've got, there's quite a large singles base out there as well. So they've got a lot more deals now for the single travellers as well. So instead of having to pay the single supplement all the time. Okay, so the advantage of being a smaller group is obviously pretty good. Yes, it's great. And even though we're franchised, we operated independently owned as well, but we still have the backing of the whole Hello World brand as well, so that's nationwide. So we've got great buying power. Okay, so can you give us a couple of examples, perhaps, of what the special might be on? As well, so even with the river cruising, you've got like with Scenic and APT as well, a lot of them fly for free deals as well, or where you might get like a $900 airfare in conjunction with the river cruise as well. So it's very good value for money. I was going to say, that's amazing value. You get to go to Europe, and obviously the main Danube and all these other beautiful vistas and cruises are fantastic, and that price, yeah, how do you do it? So yeah, like say, again with the buying power as well with it, and in conjunction with the cruise as well, and even like with Canada and Alaska as well. Yes. They've got a lot of the early birds as well, so it's get in early. Yes. Okay. And get the good deals. So what's becoming more popular? Is it land-based tours still? I mean, years ago you used to hop in a bus and do 20 countries in 10 weeks or whatever it was. So it's more of going to like for ocean cruising as well, or any type of cruising. So you've got river cruising as well as the ocean cruising as well. So they covers like for families as well as up to the more upper market area as well, and for the more of the elderly, without having to avoid all the kids.
Because travel it's a big deal. People save up, and it's obviously once in a lifetime thing for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and I guess you're friendly people, and you guys want to help out as best you can. And
exactly, and also especially with cruising, because you can book so far in advance. So we've got great lay-by deals. So you just pay a deposit. You can pay. And how you pay your balance with us, you can use it as a lay-by, we pay it at the end when it's due. It's completely up to them.
I was going to say, there must be some sort of time payment thing, obviously, because if people can't save up. Steve and Alicia, it's been fascinating talking to you, and we'll speak again pretty soon from Hello World at Westlakes.
Thank you very much.
Hey Janice, I could see you in a men's shed.
I could see me in a men's shed.
I could see you up on the wall, because I've got a painting of you as a character you played, and I'd hang that in my men's shed if I had one. Yes,
that painting is huge.
Yeah, I know it is. It's very nice. But finding out about the men's sheds was really valuable, and finding out how actually easy it is to raise funds for a really
I didn't realise there were so many.
Men's sheds?
Yes.
Yes. And so much need for raising funds.
Absolutely.
For people who
so that was really
are in need of that accommodation. Yeah. Now, things are going to change in the television world at the end of this year, and we hope that you'll change along with us, because in the future you'll be able to find us, first of all, on Facebook. You'll know what the future is because there'll be stuff there. But also on YouTube. And it's a matter of getting used to watching TV programs online, because the way the world's going, that's happening everywhere. So until we see you next time on OurTime,
please take care.
Keep yourself nice. Till then.
See you then.
Bye.